Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Before we begin this week's episode of My Inner Anchor, I wanted to be honest and real with you. This week has been one of the most emotionally turbulent weeks I've had for a while. There's something happening in my life right now that I can't share the details publicly because it's not my story to tell, but it's required me to show up in ways I didn't expect. It's going to require me to be present, strong and honest, and there's an emotional side to it, and it's taken a lot out of me. There is going to be a time where I'm needed. On top of that, I've had to postpone the Just Push Play festival, something which is deeply personal to me, something I run in memory of my dad, and I give every ounce of my heart and strength to. And because I couldn't explain the reason, as I say, it is not my reason to say, some people have reacted negatively, and I do understand that. Some comments have hit me harder than I expected. Not because I'm looking for sympathy. I'm not. This is not the place for that. Nor will I go into any of those comments here or in public. So I'm not looking for sympathy, but they hit me because I am human. This week I reminded me of something important. The inner anchor isn't something I talk about because I've mastered it or I've perfected it in any way. It's something I talk about because I believe in it. I still need it every day. I've needed it so much these last few days. So today's episode is not coming from a place of being fixed or perfection. I'm none of those things. We are all a work in progress. We are all human. We all have life throwing curveballs at us from time to time. It's coming from a place of truth. So, in this week's episode, I want to go deeper into what the inner anchor really means, why it matters to me most, why I found it, how I started terming it in that way, and why in weeks where life feels wobbly or you're dealing with a lot getting thrown at you in terms of things to deal with and to move forward on, why it matters most in weeks like this. So, how I first found my inner anchor. I wanted to start by going back to the beginning, to the moment I first discovered what I now term as my inner anchor, or the inner anchor I should say. It wasn't during a calm period of life, it wasn't during a moment of clarity. It was following a season where everything felt heavy, loud and overwhelming. As I said before, when my dad passed away, I ran on empty for a long time, distracting myself with anything that I could. And all those distractions were positive. It was putting on the festival, it was going to the gym, it was doing martial arts, it was working with other events and festivals, it was starting my radio show, it was doing all of these things in addition to a full-time job. I was doing all those things, and all those things are very positive things. I wasn't distracting myself with drinks, drugs or violence. I wasn't distracting myself with what could be classed as negative behaviour, but it was having a negative impact on me because I was stopping myself from processing my grief, processing everything that had happened. And it wasn't just my dad. There was a lot of stuff that happened over the years that I never really kind of dealt with. I had a friend take his own life, lost my brother-in-law. Obviously losing my dad was a huge thing. He's a real trauma period. Mum's cancer battle. And it was all ongoing, and everything was triggering everything else. I was running on empty, I was trying to hold everything together, trying to be strong for everyone else. But as I said in episode 1, we never like to look behind us because of fear of what's chasing us. And what's chasing me was a need to stop and a need to slow down. I was trying to keep moving forward, but I didn't feel what was trying to catch up with me. And one day I stopped on that beach in Cornwall that I told you about, and me and Jay spoke about everything. It wasn't intentional. I made no conscious decision to do it. I just knew something finally had to change. I had to change. I just couldn't keep up with that pace that I'd been going. And as I say, I went to Talk Club, both their group peer-to-peer, which I found helpful. I started going through CBT therapy, which led to one-to-one counselling. And I've done a lot of internal work since. I'm not perfect, I'm far from it. Things will still throw me off balance. Things will still throw me out of whack. And despite what you know in your heart is doing the right thing at the time, sometimes doing the right thing doesn't feel right. And like I say, I sat in silence for the first time, for a long time, trying to feel everything I've been avoiding. The exhaustion, the fear, the pressure, the grief, the sense that I drifted so far from myself that I really didn't recognise who I was anymore. And in all that stillness, in that uncomfortable but honest moments, something started to shift. Not dramatically, this isn't the movies, not magically, but quietly. I started to feel a sense of getting back to self, of knowing that somewhere underneath all of those emotions that I'd finally allowed myself to feel, and facing all the things I was trying to run away from, there was something there that was sturdier, that was true, that was honest, that was authentic. And not because I was lying for the sake of negativity or wanting to misconstrue it, but because I was scared of my reality. I was scared of living without my dad. I was scared of not being able to cope. So you fake it till you make it. You throw that energy into other places and hope it's doing the right way. I threw all of it into Just Push Play. All of it. But I'd started to feel now that beneath all the emotions and the things I've been facing, that there was a still point beneath it. A groundedness that didn't come from my thoughts or my achievements or my identity. It came from somewhere deeper. I remember being stood on that beach in Cornwall, which is where I go when I meditate. Not physically. Sometimes I've meditated while I've been down there on the beach. But I mean visually, that's where I visualise while I'm meditating. It's a place where I broke down. It's a place I returned to when I felt stronger. It's a place I feel very connected to. I remember being stood on that beach. It might have been the day after Joe and I spoke. It might have even been a couple of days later. Stood there watching the waves, feeling, that's how I feel like. I feel like I've been stood there with wave after wave crashing upon me, and I'm jumping up and off just enough to catch my breath before going under again, and again jumping up and again jumping up, with every wave battering me from all directions. And I think others may well have felt like that as well. A sense of overwhelm, a sense of if I just keep jumping, if I just keep taking this, if I just keep taking these moments of breath every now and then, I'll be okay, I'll survive. But all you're doing is surviving. You're not living. And when you're not living how you wish, it has a true impact on you. Even if you're the one who put those things in place, and sometimes it'll be circumstantial, sometimes you will put things in your way, because that's all you can think to do in that moment. That's the only option you have at the time, but we can get stuck in cycles. So that's how I was feeling, overwhelmed, like waves were crashing upon me. And I thought, I feel like I'm getting battered around here, like I'm getting pushed from one thing to the other, moving around, running around. What I need is the first time I termed it as, I need an anchor. I need to feel grounded. I need to feel secure. I need to feel like I have a place. That was the first time I felt my inner anchor. Not as a concept, as a physical truth, a presence, a weight, a reminder that there was a part of me that didn't move, even when everything else around me that did. That moment changed the direction of my life. It was the start of me finding myself again. It was the start of me not running, of standing still, of letting whatever was going to come at me, and dealing with it. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. I had to deal with it. I couldn't keep running around letting plates spin. I had to choose where I wanted to be, choose what focus I wanted on, and go for it. That's what led me to realising I needed a change. I threw myself into CBT therapy. I trusted the process. I had to do something different. It's led me to grounding practices that I still use to this day. Stuff I never saw value in, but stuff I couldn't hold in higher regard now. Nearly 2 years later, it's something I wanted to share and show that there is another way to be honest, be open. It doesn't have to be perfect and zen. It can just be honest. And you're going to have days where stuff hits you. Things are going to happen in life that upset you, that could anger you, that could cause you pain. Sadly, that's one thing we can guarantee. But you can show up for self, and that's important. And I wanted to share my experiences, the grounding techniques I've found, open up conversation with others. And this podcast is for everyone. It really is. But I did want to open conversation to other men as well. And we'll be going more into that in the next episode. Not as an exclusion thing, but because I don't feel like there's the right help for some men. There's not the right spaces easily accessible, and also a combination of there being few and far between, and that us guys are by nature rubbish at going to find those spaces. But like I say, we're going to go in that into episode 6, but it's why this whole podcast exists. That was the start of things to come. This week brought me back to a lesson that I wasn't expecting. And reminded me why I still need the anchor. I was being pulled between stuff that's going on, responsibility, triggers going back to griefs I've just mentioned, public expectation, the pressure of having to do the right thing and trying to navigate that for all to cause minimal impact in ultimately what was not timed right, but not through any fault of anyone. A lot of things have gone on behind the scenes that I can't talk about because it's not right for me to. It's not my place. Maybe in time I will. Maybe in time people will just accept, and I believe that whatever the reasons are, and it's personal, I'm allowed a personal life. I'm not. Just Push Play isn't a huge team. It is me that organises this in the build-up. I have Joe, my wife, help me on the day, and a very few select group of friends who also help me with things like changeovers. My mum and sister, and my mum's other half, Sean, and my sister's other half, Luke, run the merch. So in terms of handing it over to anyone, that wasn't possible. I couldn't take a risk of something happening and the event not taking place at that short notice. I had to make a decision. which I in my gut believe to be the right one. I understand people's frustration. I understand the disappointment. I get it. I've been there. I've been at gigs when they've been cancelled. Sometimes timing doesn't allow you the space you would like to be to do things in a perfect way. Sometimes you do just have to respond and deal with it. And don't get me wrong, I also want to take this moment to thank everyone who's been understanding and offered support, and for those who do know the situation who have offered to help. I really do appreciate it. And I understand people who don't understand as well. I get it, they don't know the situation. And I was being judged, and I get it. It's not nice when you're getting let down by something you're looking forward to, and I appreciate every single person who has ever booked a ticket to Just Push Play. But I'll be honest, it shook me. It got inside my head. It just made me question myself. It made me feel like I was starting to drift again. And that's when I realised the inner anchor isn't something you just find once. It's something you need to keep connected to, keep returning to, especially when life hits the same place twice. It's something that when you can't ground your own roots, it holds you where you need to be. So I guess that's what brings us on to what the inner anchor actually is. You see, it's not bravado, it's not ego, it's not confidence, it's not positivity, it's not pretending that you're okay. Your inner anchor is the part of you that stays steady beneath the noise, the part that doesn't get swept by fear, by pressure or expectation, the part that doesn't perform and it doesn't panic. It's that part of you whenever something's kicked off and you get that, what I call like washing machine stomach, when you're like, oh, you know, that kind of adrenaline hit. Whatever's happened to you will have experienced that at some point in life. But it's that moment that goes when you know you're doing the right thing, but right now you just got to deal with it. And the adrenaline comes from that flight or fight mode that we all get into. And it depends, you know, what your base level emotion is, which side of the coin you're on. But your inner anchor is what stays beneath it. It's that voice inside your head that goes, okay, we'll get through this. We know where we are. We know what we're doing. We know the truth. We know the authentic part of this. We know why. That version of you that whispers in your ear, get back here. You're okay. You're okay. Let's do this one breath at a time. It's that steady voice in your head and in your soul and in your gut that goes, stay here. This is where we are. This is who you are, and you know what's right. You know what's the right thing to do here. This week I had to lean onto that voice more than I have for a little while. And we all drift. You drift from your core self for a multitude of reasons. You drift when you're tired to do the easy thing. You drift when you're scared, because no one likes facing their fears. We drift when we're trying to protect people we love. We drift when carrying something heavy in silence. We drift when we're judged. We drift when we're trying to do just what's right by everyone. But drifting isn't a failure. We all do it. It means you're human. The inner anchor isn't there to stop you from drifting. It's there to pull you back, bring you back to where you should be, bring you back to self. There's many ways in which you can return to your inner anchor. Returning to your inner anchor isn't glamorous. It's not long flowing pyjamas in a field. It's not a breakthrough moment. It's not enlightenment. It's not golden rays of sunshine hitting your face. It's small things. It's slowing down. It's breathing. It's feeling your body. Feeling the ground hold your weight. It's feeling within yourself again. It's telling your truth, even if only to yourself. And I will say this on that note. Always tell yourself, bare minimum, you should tell everyone the truth, and you should always be open. But always feel your truth. Always be authentic to yourself, to your needs, and to what you need in that moment. We spoke about the still point before, and that was what you needed in that moment. And what you may need for the next few moments. That's not always easy to do. Sometimes doing what's right won't be right for everyone. That's just life. Don't feel like you have to please everyone, because sadly you won't. I knew full well when I had to postpone Just Push Play, some people will be upset. It's never my intention to cause anyone any upset, nor do I take it lightly when they are, nor do I brush off any comments they do hit. Nor am I looking for sympathy. It was something I knew I had to accept this week, that would happen. Not because I wanted to, not because I don't care. That's far from the truth. I don't do what I do with Just Push Play because I don't care. I do what I do with Just Push Play because I care so much about it. I'm grateful to everyone who's supported it over the years. It doesn't happen without you all, and I am eternally grateful. But whatever your inner truth is, whatever your honesty is, do it. Keep it. Feel yourself. This life is yours. And as much as we want people to be a part of it, as much as we want people to accept us and to love us, you've got to live for you. And sometimes you've got to look after yourself. And sometimes that means doing things you're not happy about doing, but it is what's needed. And you know the bigger picture, and you know one scenario, and you know the other options, and you've got to pick the right one. So whatever it is, make sure you do it right for you. But other ways the inner anchor is, other than telling the truth, feeling your body, breathing, slowing down. It goes to what I was just sort of saying there, really. It's letting yourself feel what you feel. Don't try and get away from any feelings. Don't try and run for them, because every emotion that you feel in a moment is valid. Not all emotions are negative, even the ones that might be labelled as such or picked up by the media as being, negative or having and they can have negative in connotations, but it's how you execute them. In the next episode, when we go into the more side of things, I'm talking about for us men. And the reason I want to do it for us men is because, in the same way that if there was a podcast for, other genders, it would ripple out into other people's lives who aren't of that gender group, because we have multiple genders in our families, in our friendship groups, those we love. So how you show up, no matter what your gender, impacts everyone in your life. This podcast is inclusive to everyone. But with the next episode, or next 3 episodes after this, I wanted to focus on that side of things because I think it's important. But we'll go back to that, like I say, next week. But every emotion that you do feel is valid. Whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're low, depressed, giddy, silly, angry, passionate, you're allowed to feel every single one of them, and they can show up a multitude of ways. Sometimes they show up disguised as other emotions. Sometimes fear will show up as anger. Sometimes sadness will show up as grief. Sometimes happiness will be masking other emotions. We all do it. But whatever you're feeling, allow yourself that time to process it. You owe yourself that. You are worthy of that. And don't let society or expectation stop you from feeling what you want to feel in that moment. So let yourself feeling what you feel. That's important with the inner anchor. Don't react from fear. React from a space. Give yourself that moment to reflect, to pause, to take stock, to try and see what the right pathway is for you. Not performing strength. Don't go to the ego. Go to what's real. Not pretending you're fine. Being honest with your emotions, like I say. Being open. Your anchor doesn't demand your perfection. It demands presence, honesty, authenticity, sensitivity, openness. It asks you to return to who you are and to not pretend. With that, I'd like to take a short little guided breath work to help anyone who this week has been feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or has got a lot going on. I hope this helps. So if you're able to and it's safe to do so, I say, if you do, have said before, if you do and listen to this driving, maybe don't do it now. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Feel the weight of everything you're carrying. And then feel the ground beneath carrying you. Allow the ground and allow the earth to carry that weight. You don't need to carry it yourself. Take a slow breath in. And let it fall out naturally. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the support that's already here. As you breathe in, feel your chest rise. Hold it. And slowly breathe out. Focus deep into your chest and down into your gut. You may feel it elsewhere, but here is where I feel my inner anchor. An anchor steady resting in the center of my soul. Not pulling me down, but holding me steady. Keep that breath going. With every breath you feel, drop yourself deeper into that stillness. Allow yourself to sink into wherever you are, whether you're laying down on the sofa, on the mat, in bed, whether you're leaning against a wall. Sink into it. Sink into that truth. Into the part of you that doesn't move. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to fight anything. You don't need to be anything. You don't need to be anyone. Just breathe. Just return. return to self, return to the inner anchor. One final breath in. Hold it. And slowly let it out. Now open your eyes. Thank you for being here this week. Thank you to listening to me. I hope this week's show proved that it's not a one-stop shop. We do have to keep working on self. I personally was reminded this week that the inner anchor isn't a concept. It's a practice. It's something I have to return to. It's something I need just as much as anyone else. As I said, I'm not here as someone who's figured it all out. I'm sitting here as someone who's learning, who's navigating, drifting, and re-anchoring, returning, just like you. And if you too are going through something heavy right now, know you're not alone. No, you don't have to be perfect. No, you just have to return to self. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone for spreading their words. Thank you to everyone for their kindness on this podcast, to being open. Thank you to those of you who've reached out who would like to come onto the podcast in the future and share your story and what everything I've said means to you. We will be having guests as the podcast continues. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And just remember, you only have to return to yourself. One breath at a time, one moment at a time, one anchor at a time. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week.